Hello, my name is Grace Connor, and today I'll be presenting on sushi. So, sushi kind of started off as an old wives' tale, and the old wives' tale went as an elderly woman hid her pots of rice in osprey nests, which are birds. She did this because she feared that thieves would steal them, but after she collected the pots, she found rice that had begun to ferment. She discovered that this was really tasty. Um, because the scraps from the ospreys was mixed into the rice. But sushi is very unknown of where it came from, where it started. The first kind of document that was documented as a rice fermentation process came from a 4th century Chinese dictionary. But Japan is credited with the first sushi dish, and it was introduced in the 9th century. And also the combination of rice and fish is known as narzushi. And then kind of the first way they started making sushi was with golden carp, and they kind of known as tuna. They packed this into salted rice, and this took about a half a year for the fermentation process to complete, and it was called funazushi, which is the earliest form of narzushi. They figured out after a while that they didn't need to take all this time to ferment, so by adding more weight, they could speed up the fermentation process to a month. And they also realized that some fish didn't even need to be fermented. So Hana Yohi took advantage more of the modern speed fermentation process by using rice vinegar. So he was also able to use fresh fish and rice vinegar to make sushi at a much faster rate. Then in 1923, sushi was served in carts outside, and then in 1950s, in Japan, sushi was only exclusively served inside. And then in 1966, the first sushi restaurant opened in Los Angeles, California, in the USA. And it was called Little Tokyo. And also the 1970 kind of sushi boom was because of the refrigeration advancements. So fish was able to ship worldwide. And then some of the current issues with sushi is obviously there is already an overfishing problem in the world. So kind of sushi kind of added on to this problem, as like with overfishing, the size of the fish can become a lot smaller, or also it could the existence of that certain type of fish could vanish out of the area, or like out of the whole planet too. And then there's also a problem with seaweed, which is the main ingredient I'm focusing on. Bundles can block sunlight from getting into certain spots of the water. This can just mostly cause a problem for like coral reefs and stuff, as they need sunlight to create their food for like photosynthesis and everything, and they cannot get that if seaweed is blocking the sunlight. So like the nutrient composition of sushi well, like for one, there's many types of sushi, but the most common types of sushi will always normally contain vitamin D, vitamin B2, iron, zinc, iodine, magnesium, potassium, and calcium. And also sushi is known for having a lot of sodium. I think one of the main ingredients sodium comes from is the soy sauce. And then so my main ingredient that I'm focusing on is seaweed, and this is kind of the whole layout of like the nutrient composition of seaweed. So like protein, there's a lot of protein in seaweed, so that would kind of make seaweed kind of a more healthy alternative. And then here's some more diseases and relationships to sushi. Salmonella is obviously a big one because it's eating raw fish. And then mercury poisoning. This is only when consuming large amounts of raw fish, because all fish contain mercury. So eating a lot can cause mercury poisoning. Parasites, since the fish is raw, parasites are little common. There have been tapeworms found in people's feet. I think one of the records was 8 feet long of a tapeworm after a man ate sushi. Listeria is also another one, has been caused from eating uncooked fish or smoked fish. And most of these symptoms will cause stomach and intestinal problems, but mercury poisoning will cause muscle weakness and memory problems. And so then my main ingredient, like I said, is seaweed, and kind of like how to tell the best quality. They can be purple, green, and white in color. This is mostly when they're fresh also. And seaweed should also contain no more than 35% water, 28% salt, and 34% salt-free dried matter. So that just means anything that's salt-free other than water and salt. And then some of the agricultural information is there are obviously many different types of seaweed in the world, but one of the main one used for sushi is called sugar kelp. There are also a lot of farms, and kelps and seaweed also do better in colder climates. So there are many farms in like around the Alaska and New England area. But seaweed is also a great source for sucking up carbon dioxide and other toxins in the water. And then the way it's harvested is that seaweed is grown kind of on a rope that like hangs down parallel in the water. And so basically they just kind of pull the rope up and chop off the seaweed. So how the dish is prepared is that rice is blended with rice vinegar, sugar, and salt. But the rice should be sticky, not clumpy. The rice is rolled in seaweed, or sometimes seaweed is on the inside of the rice. But also there be some type of meat, such as crab, tuna, various different fish types, and then also vegetables. So like an example, like a California roll is one of the rolls that I tried. And it has crab meat, avocado, and cucumber with seaweed and then rice on the outside. My thoughts. So I enjoyed the dish very much. I tried multiple different rolls, like the spicy crab, spicy tuna, and the California roll. I wasn't a fan of the California roll as I did not like the cucumber and the kind of crunchiness to it. But the spicy crab and spicy tuna I liked better than the California. And I'd say more of the taste. Well, I dipped mine in like the little like white sauce, like shrimp sauce that they give you, and that kind of like overbeared the taste a little bit. But I think the spicy tuna and spicy crab were not spicy at all, and it was more very seafood slash the sauce taste. And then for California roll, I feel like the cucumber overpowered everything else. Like I couldn't taste anything else. And then for texture, I would say both spicy crab and spicy tuna were very like more mushy, and California was very hard. So these are just some pictures. The bottom one is the picture of the California roll that I took, and the other images are just from Google. Like the top one is a spicy tuna roll, and these are just other two are just different rolls that were found on the internet. And then culture comparisons. So there's actually a lot of different culture comparisons from here in the United States. So in the USA, sushi is kind of seen as a more upscale, and in Japan it's more as like an affordable thing, so kind of like what it is here, like a fast food restaurant. That's how it's like kind of seen in Japan. And then also in the United States we have more of a restaurant where a waiter comes, greets us, and sit down. But at Japan you eat at a bar and you have a conversation with the chef. So like when having a conversation with a sushi chef, it's easier to find out what fish will be better, what fish will be in season, and everything like that. And also, so in Japan, while having these conversations with these chefs, they order one piece at a time, and the chef will know to serve the lighter rolls or pieces. first and then the heavier ones at the bottom. But since like you're not really getting the connection in the United States with the chef, a lot of people just order like 3 or 4 rolls at a time. And that is definitely when I went to go eat sushi, that's what we did, because I went out with a few friends and we ordered a lot of rolls at the same time. But also, this was very odd to me. In the United States, sushi is very tightly packed. And that because of this is because everyone in the United States wants to use the chopsticks. But in Japan, they're able to pack it a little less tighter so it falls apart on the mouth more. So that is one thing that I thought was different, because I thought Japan, they all use chopsticks. And then these are just my references for all my slides. And that is the end of my presentation. Thank you so much.